Okay, hello everybody. Hello, my beautiful community, Evelyn Fluye Vida. Today, this is a very special day. This is Monday, and I have this immense joy and honor to be hosting an amazing coach. She is the love coach, and her name is Lisa Concepcion. And as I was telling her, I felt like this was kind of a movie because I have been following her work for since some years ago, and she is absolutely inspiring. She has a very strong voice, but at the same time, she's very funny as well. If you can check her videos in Facebook, she's always sharing this high vibe of love, of joy, and you are very always on point. Like, yeah, this is so amazing. And Lisa also has a background because she's of Latin American, right? She has this background from Puerto Rican, from Chilean. I am Peruvian. And yeah, this is English is my second language. And then I will share the link of Lisa's project, Lisa Concepcion, thelovecoach.com, which will be attached to this video. And yeah, hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. And where are you at right now? And let us know. Introduce yourself and to know you better. The people in my community that want to know who you are.
Okay, cool. So thank you for having me and hello to your community. This is great. We're going to get into some fun stuff and important stuff that hopefully helps you with your relationships, not just with other people, but the relationship you have with yourself and with your creator. So I'm in Florida. I'm originally from New York. I was born and raised in New York. And yes, I am of Puerto Rican, Chilean, and Spanish heritage. So I have, like I say, I'm a Latin mutt. I have a mixture of all of it. Una mezclada.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's great. I have all kinds of family, and I decided to move to Florida in 2010 when I separated from my husband of, at that time, we were together, I believe, like 12 years. And we were together longer, but married for 12 years. And he decided to separate and he was moving to San Diego. And I said, okay, well, I don't want to live in New York, New Jersey anymore. It's cold here. I don't feel good here. It's a matrix of work, 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 work. And I lost myself in all of this and I want to live at the beach. So I moved to Miami, Florida. I packed my stuff. I found an apartment in South Beach. I moved with all my furniture, my dog, everything. And I decided I don't know what's going to happen here, but I have to live where I feel good. And in that journey, a major adventure ensued of my own coming to things in my life that were part of my childhood that I had to heal, things that I started to realize about myself. And ultimately, I divorced my husband. I got divorced, ex-husband and I got divorced. Very, very sad, heartbreaking situation, but it was part of the path and the necessary path that had to happen. Since then, I started to put videos out about my own healing journey and my life on South Beach. I was kind of lost. I was doing marketing and public relations at the time just to have money flow come in. And I was very lost in what it was that I wanted to do with my life and who I was and like what did I do to get here? Like why am I at the time what was I 42 years old? I'm living in a one bedroom apartment in South Beach with my dog. Like what did I do and how did I think to get me here? And while living on South Beach was amazing, and I mean, I lived where people travel all over the world to come for vacation. And I can get on my bike and go to one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And I lived right there. So there was a lot about Miami I was very grateful for. But I felt very behind. I felt like I was stunted in my growth in a very profound way. So I set out to find out why that was. And in doing so, I discovered that I was codependent, that the way I was raised as a child entrained me to be codependent. Things that happened to me, things I observed when I was a child with the adults around me, all contributed to that codependency. And I didn't even really know what the word meant, but I had anxious attachment, control issues. You know, I just was showing up in relationships very externally. It was all about what can I get as opposed to what was I giving. And I had to learn to give to myself. And so that's the first step in curing my codependency. So I started to do these videos to keep myself accountable to this process of growth and learning and healing that I was doing. And it caught on, and people started to just like my videos. They started to reach out to me on social media. And from there, they started to ask me if they could talk to me and get support. I said, sure. And then they wanted to pay me, and I didn't have a way of getting paid at the time. I was just doing videos, you know, I wasn't doing anything like now. And one of the people that I helped said, well, girl, set up a PayPal. I'll help you do it. And then I'll send you, like, you know, money to compensate you for your time. I got more out of speaking with you, he said, than 10 years of therapy. So I said, wow, that's interesting. So then in my own therapy, because I was in therapy at the time after my divorce, for like 90 days, I hired a therapist. And I was like, I don't want to be in therapy for the rest of my life. I just want to get over this hump and get some understanding about what's wrong with me and what's up with me. And in doing that, that was a second confirmation that she even said, you know, speaking to you is like speaking to a peer. And I feel like you should get a master's degree, like go back to and become a psychologist, a psychotherapist, whatever. So I looked into that, and it's still on the table. I might do that, you know, in the years to come. But I did like the aspect of coaching. And so I looked into coaching. I caught up with a friend of mine who I worked with in public relations in New York, and she became a coach. And she left the whole corporate matrix thing, and you know, we were still friends on Facebook, and she made it sound amazing. And I said, well, show me how to become a coach. So she said, all right, I'll introduce you to the people at the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching. And that's where she went. And she said, you know, go there, see if it fits for you, and go that path. So I did. And in 2017, I became a certified life coach. And I specifically wanted to tailor my services towards that of healing codependency, settling and soothing that wounded inner child, reparenting, shadow work, so that you can emerge solid and strong in yourself, so you can have thriving relationships, awesome, fun friendships, romantic relationships, even workplace relationships. All your relationships change when you start to learn how to soothe and heal the codependency. Until it's done, you're not even codependent anymore, right? You change your whole way of being. And I did it. So now all my content is about that. And I have a YouTube channel with like all my videos that go back to like 2014. So you can see the journey and the evolution of my journey. I now live in Sarasota, Florida. I'm remarried, created a whole new life and a wonderful business that I get to help people in a really profound way. So it's really fulfilling, fun business. And
Yeah.
just having that ability to talk to people about what it is they're going through and seeing how similar things are, even though the circumstances might be different, but the beliefs are often the same.
Yes, and I wanted to add something. That year, 2017, was a special year also for me, because my project was also born that year, and it is amazing. And what I liked, and when you were talking about your first videos, how you started, yes, I was checking your YouTube channel, and you were like enjoying life, like chilling at the beach, like at the car, and at the swimming pool close to the ocean. And it is fun, you know, because I love the way you work, which is based on taking actions. And when you said that at the first moment, you made that decision of moving to another state, that is amazing. And I think that is the first step that actually happened to me in that way as well, that I had to move to other countries, or in my own country to another apartment and other towns, right? So I was able to shift the energy, and in a different environment, I can breathe better, you know. The first step is to feel better, is to choose what makes us feel healthier, more free, more connected to ourselves. So you did it as a primal way, right? Like moving closer to the ocean. And I was living in Cancun as well. I have been living in Playa del Carmen also, with riding the bikes. And yeah, it's amazing. I mean, to live that close to the ocean. I am a beach lover, but again, it's like those wounding like come up, right? Like they come to the surface, and that's the reason that I came back to my country, because I was feeling a lot of these attachment wounds, and this, what is this thing that is not allowing me to be present, to really enjoy being in this amazing nature of meeting new people. What is this that I really cannot explain, but is felt in the body? And also what I do with other people is, because I have also been working with other people in sessions and short workshops, is to connect more with the body, do these somatic practices, right? And for me, for example, through dancing, is that I in many ways achieve this reconnection with myself, and connecting more with this sense of self. Because in this codependency relationships, we actually get lost, right? And there are these primordial childhood wounds when the sense of self is not fully built, is not strong enough, like this foundation of who I am, who the heck I am, right? And it's like, whoa, in another country, another town, is like we can be all over the place, and it's like bringing back, pulling back on energy, on parts, basically building ourselves. And as you were saying, is reparenting ourselves. How would a ideal parent would look like for each person, for us, right? And it can sound different. For example, for me, I love this kind of warrior, strong woman who is fearless of speaking and is fully enjoying being herself. Like, for example, you are, and is an amazing amazing model. And yeah, I feel like excited, and also I feel this passion that it is also possible for me, because I always felt this strong energy in me since I was a little girl. But in some way or many ways, the adults around me couldn't handle me, right? And that happens. And so now, yeah, you have explained a little bit about what is codependency, and how can you explain this hidden trauma, these hidden wounds, and maybe how to address it in a step by step, how to start unfolding it in a safe way, or how can you explain it a little bit more?
Okay, so I love everything you had to say. And yeah, you're totally right. Like when we have certain things that happen to us, or we observe certain things that happen in our environment. For example, let's say you were that vibrant little girl who wanted to spin and twirl and dance, and your parents or someone around you said, ay, no haga eso, like stop doing that. You know, you're in a store. You're in a store. You can't behave like that in a store. Meanwhile, all you're doing is twirling with your dress because you're 4 years old, and that's what 4-year-olds do. They like their dress spinning, but you get reprimanded and put in trouble and maybe even grabbed. Stay close to me. You know, your parents yell at you because you're too far away, and they mean it from protection and love perhaps, but it's not hitting you right. It's making you be different. It's teaching you, I must be different in order to please them.
Mhm.
In order for me to get my parents' love, I can't twirl. I can't be loud. I can't be a kid. I can't, you know, everything has to be, she's a good girl. And little kids catch on pretty easily about the rules of what makes them good and enough so they can get love. And that's where parents start training their kids to lose themselves, to acquiesce to the needs of the parents, to keep the environment peaceful. Meanwhile, the kid could see that that environment might not be peaceful. Maybe there are people who are yelling. In my case, my parents divorced when I was 3. And so my father was very active in my life, my whole life. So where my daddy wound or daddy issue came to be was more about quality time, uninterrupted, and one-on-one. That was the thing that I yearned for. And in fact, the other day I had a memory and I brought it up in, you know, friends were over having lunch, and I brought up an old memory. And it was one where my father would come and visit me on Wednesday nights. He lived in the city. I lived in the suburbs, a half hour, 40 minutes away. So he would come to visit me on Wednesday nights. And I'm a little girl at this point, you know, grammar school. And my mother on Wednesday nights would go to dancing lessons and then go out with friends after. So my dad took me and he would put me in my pajamas, put me into bed. And there was a window in my room, and I can hear the street from my window. So I'd be in bed and I would actually hear and listen for the gear shifting of my dad's car as he drove away. So that's how much I like longed to connect and to hang on to like every minute with my father. Now for girls, the first love of your life, man, is your father. So when you are instantly or at a young age feeling this yearning for more, it's a need that's not fulfilled. Now imagine if you just put that behind you because you're living life, you don't know this, you're not conscious of it, you're a little kid. So now think of what happens when later in life, now you're a teenager and there's a boy that you like, and you get into this pattern of having crushes where you feel this anguish that this boy isn't giving you attention back. You're simply repeating the same feeling in your body, the same thoughts about yourself when you are putting your attention and affections towards someone and they're not giving it in return. That's where this codependency and this anxious attachment and this whole thing starts to cultivate. So you can see that unbeknownst to me, little kid, I'm thinking my dad's great. Like I'm always with my dad. Like my dad always comes and takes me out, but he was always with my grandmother, my grandfather, my stepmother. There was always a tribe of people around me, very noisy, chaotic. I'm super fluid. I'm Pisces. I'm just like, I flow with everybody. I don't want to like make waves, but I get to the point where I always say I'm the type of Piscean that I can be still water, fluid, and just flowing, but I could also be a massive wave that destroys. So the power of water, right? When you're a water sign, like you got to understand, water can be very fluid, like a stream, nicely flowing, but yet water can be incredibly destructive. So I had to rectify that in myself because the people that I was around, and then throw my mom into the mix, which I could get into separate, highly triggered, highly wounded, massive abandonment wounds. And she put her needs on me. So she was parenting me in the manner of the worst way that she was parented by her own mother. So there was generational trauma in this that I did not know. I know now because I look at it from a different lens. But while you're in it, all you're doing is trying to please everybody. And you lose a sense of self. You lose a sense of these are my needs, they're not being met. And I'm trying so hard to please everybody to have my needs met. And I'm losing myself. So to answer, I don't know if that answers your question, but on a practical way, first step really is to identify that missing piece, the thing that's missing. The wound for me, I knew there were several, but I started to look at, what were the things in my childhood that I longed for with each parent. I longed for my mom to be more calm and feminine and not yell so much. She was a big yeller. Her moods were very erratic. She was not steady and stable. She did not have confidence in herself as an adult. She was very wounded still. So I longed to be around security, steadiness, stability, even keeled. And my family was completely not that. It was very chaotic. So that's why once I got into my own chaos, my innate, deep, soothing mechanism was, you got to get out of here. You can't go through. I remember saying this to myself. The storm that you are about to go through with this divorce and what is going to transpire, you cannot go through that journey with these crazy people around you. They're going to make it all about them. And you need to distance yourself. You need to physically get away and go live where you feel good, where you feel, you know what, even though I'm in this storm, and even though I don't know what's going to happen with my marriage, I don't know what's going to happen with my career, like my life is in shambles, at least I can wake up, open my balcony, step outside, feel sun on me, see bright blue skies, hear the birds go by, go to take my bike and go to the beach, be in that salt water. It was a very first time in my life where I was like, I am going to give myself what I need unapologetically. And I left and I never looked back. My father and stepmom still live in Brooklyn. I still do have family, cousins and whatnot up north. But my mom and my stepdad now live 2 hours away from me here in Florida. And, life just changes and evolves. You can't help it. It just always is in change. And it just is a matter of how you decide to go with it. Who will you become? And you start to heal yourself. And the step one for me was, and my clients too, and I help them to do this, is identifying who is that little girl or little boy inside you that's running the show in your life now because they need something that they didn't get. And it takes a lot sometimes for some people to really see themselves as small and in that way, in that little child way. But I help them to connect. And that's step one, is that connection to that little inner child who's wounded and wants what it wants and is looking outside for everybody else to provide it. And you get to say, hi, little one, I love you so much. And I'm here for you now. And I'm responsible for you. And from this point forward, none of these crazy people are going to get to you. They're going to have to pass through me in order to mess with you. So you don't get to choose my boyfriends anymore. You don't get to choose my career decisions anymore. You get to go play, and you get to be 5 or you get to be 8. You get to do the things that you want to do, knowing that you can trust me and that I have the discipline to make self-loving decisions on your behalf. So when you make it about this little innocent child who needs you, you're able to step into that leadership role a lot quicker. And that's what I help people to facilitate. I help them achieve that.
Yeah, and I have to interrupt here a little bit because you were able to sustain on time this change, this decision that you made. But not everybody is able or has this capacity to sustain in long term sorry. My God, se cortó. No, what happened?
I still hear you and see you.
Oh, okay. It's the time. So yeah, to sustain in time, right? This decision, this own leadership, this owning our lives, because of course there are going to appear a lot of triggers when we are alone, in terms of relating with other people. And for example, in my case, when you were saying that you had maybe this loud mom and grandmas that were like very like chaotic, right? In my case, it was kind of the opposite. I actually needed not the chaos, but adults who were able to express themselves, to even allow me to sing loud or to yell or. But in my family, for example, there was a lot of repression, and also coming from my mother, from everybody, basically a lot of fear. Fear also of hurting me. My mother was scared of hurting me the way her mother hurt her.
Okay.
So yeah.
And how was that? Like, how was she hurt? Emotionally, physically, combination of both?
Yeah, both. She, my mom was like in charge of all her sisters and brothers. So yeah.
So what you're referring to is a form of codependency entrainment that has to do with children being forced to grow up too soon. Yeah. Children being forced to take on responsibilities that developmentally they're not ready to take on. I had a bunch of that in my growth in my childhood as well. My mom worked, everybody was divorced. I didn't know who I was coming home to in that house. It was uncles and cousins and just chaos, a lot of different personalities. And oftentimes the home was empty. So I had two little cousins. We'd all come home from school. And here I am, 10, 11 years old. And I'm making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for everybody. I'm assuming a role of a leader, a mother even. No, don't do that. Don't jump on the couch. Don't do this. I'm starting to be that. And I'm young myself. So I totally get how, as dysfunctional as that is, it does contribute to a generational trauma, right? So you kind of get the way you're talking about your mom and what you've experienced, you're getting the fact that she didn't do this on purpose. It was just simply a generational trauma. She was hurt and she didn't want to hurt you in the way that she was hurt. So she was forced to take on all of her siblings and what have you. So how did that impact her method of mothering you?
Well, actually, I see it much more clear that I would have loved for her to be more free, to enjoy life more, to choose herself more, and not trying all the time to put the family together and like carrying with all the heaviness, with all the, or trying to fix all the problems. Like she was doing that, and I was upset with her. I felt a lot of anger also, but behind that sadness and pain, because yeah, I would have preferred she to choose and love herself more, and that I perceive is one of the biggest pains for women, and we do not talk about that. Like, sorry, I forgot the main idea because of the noise. But yeah, and that can be very, very challenging for some of us. For example, when we are choosing this different path to create this new stream, like finally I am retrieving my sense of self first in the foundation, and then I am choosing to be this woman that can enjoy life, that can travel, who can speak, who doesn't have to stay silent, who has the right to express and also to denounce everything that is not right, that is not truth, right? And it can be challenging because there is this feeling of, I do not deserve to be this joyful and free woman. And I connect that in a very deep and spiritual way, in an energetical way, because I also work through the energy bodies, and it's very connected to the primal force of the sacrum, of the sexual energy, because we come from that explosion of energy, right? And so our life force is connected there. And it's amazing because this is a huge opportunity, as you were saying, of we can take this as an opportunity to shift, to change, and to have other people, other leaders like you, for example, is so supportive. It's like so beyond self-validation. It's like retrieving the self, the life that we deserve. And Latin American people, I feel we have beautiful hearts. Like, you are a beautiful, loving person, also with your dog, with your puppy. It's so beautiful. Oh my God, he's so funny, so beautiful, and you are also so beautiful, and the way that you have built your own family is so inspiring, and I want that also for my own life. And so yeah, also just to end, because we have 3 minutes. It has been a pleasure, an honor, and also in this path, right? We have to reconnect with this force of creation, which we can call God or source or whatever, right? Just to end, how do you feel this connection with source, with God? How it is
love
helping?
this question. So my coaching is very faith-based. It's not religious. It's purely connection to the creator, whether you refer to that as source, as God, as whatever. So we glorify that, and we harness the power and the energy of that unshakable faith. And what is that faith? The source of self-love, the source of love. So when you know that your worthiness, your goodness, when you said earlier, sometimes I don't know if I'm worthy of feeling this joyous, your creator is looking at you like, my child, I love you so much, and I created you to live joyously. That's the point. And you're going to go on earth, and you're going to mix it up with other crazy people, and you're going to be crazy sometimes too. But ultimately, it's just a lesson for you to elevate your consciousness to come home to me. The very thing that created you, you're going to come home to me again. But you don't ever have to be disconnected from me while you're down there in the crazy world. You can still be connected to me all the time. And that's where the source of love is. So when you're truly connected to the very thing that created you, that energy, that's when that codependency goes away, because you start to say, you know, I'm worthy because my creator says so, not because my mother says so, not because my boss says so, not because my bank account says so, but because my creator unconditionally, no matter what crazy mess I get myself into, free will, right? I choose this. Oh, that was a bad path. No worries, my child. I still love you. I'm not here looking over you. I love you no matter what. So when you know that, and that's the coaching I do, I get people so deep in their faith that they have this unquestionable goodness that they feel about themselves. So yes, faith is everything. It's because it's the constant. It's the people will come, people will go. Even if you meet the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams, they might die. So you have to have God. You have to have your anchoring and tethering to the creator, the one
Lisa,
creator.
I really love you so much. You are an amazing person beyond a coach. It has been a joyful morning. I feel so grateful, so happy to meeting you. And so this meeting is about to end, and let's connect soon, okay? I'm going to...
Yes, let's do it.
And
Thank you again. This was delightful, Evelyn. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.